The grand hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with whispers and snickers. Thousands of alien representatives from across the galaxy sat in their floating pods, arranged in endless circular tiers that stretched up toward the crystal dome ceiling. Each species had evolved differently. Some had tentacles, others had multiple heads, and a few were even made of pure energy. But they all shared one thing today. They were all laughing at the humans. Thomas Reed stood at the center platform, his plain black suit making him look even more out of place among the colorful and exotic beings surrounding him. His gray hair and weathered face showed the marks of someone who had spent decades fighting for humanity's place among the stars. Today was supposed to be different. Today was supposed to be their moment of triumph. "Distinguished members of the Council," he said, his voice steady despite the growing laughter. "Earth has achieved what many thought impossible. We have successfully developed technology to harness the seventh dimension." The laughter grew louder. A tall, crystalline beam from the Centauri system flashed bright colors of amusement. "The humans can barely manage five-dimensional calculations, and they claim to have mastered the seventh. How entertaining." Reed held up a data crystal, its blue light pulsing steadily. "The proof is here. Our scientists have not only theorized but built and tested." "Tested?" interrupted a cloud-like entity from the upper tiers. "Your species still uses chemical rockets for half your space travel. We mastered five-dimensional fold drives centuries ago, and even we cannot properly contain sixth-dimensional energy." More laughter echoed through the chamber. Reed's hand tightened around the data crystal, but his face remained calm. He had expected this reaction. After all, humanity had only joined the galactic community 40 years ago, when their first faster-than-light ship had accidentally stumbled into a trade route. Since then, they had been seen as the galaxy's new pets, primitive but somewhat amusing. "Council members," Reed tried again, "if you would just review the data." A massive being with 6 eyes and metallic skin leaned forward in its pod. "Tell us, human, do your people even understand what the seventh dimension is? It's not just another direction to travel in. It's a fundamental layer of reality that even our most advanced theories barely grasp." Reed smiled slightly. "We understand it better than you think. The seventh dimension isn't just about movement or energy. It's about the layering of possibility itself. Our breakthrough came when we stopped trying to control it and learned to dance with it instead." This brought a fresh wave of laughter and dismissive gestures from the assembled aliens. The council leader, an ancient being made of shifting geometric patterns, raised its form to call for order. "Representative Reed," the leader's thoughts echoed in everyone's minds. "While we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm, making impossible claims wastes the Council's time. Your species has much to learn. We recommend focusing on mastering five-dimensional physics before entertaining such wild fantasies." Reed took a deep breath. He thought about the hidden facility in Jupiter's orbit, where the prototype was nearly complete. He thought about Dr. Miller and her team, working tirelessly while the galaxy mocked their efforts. He thought about Commander Walker, training his crew for something the galaxy thought impossible. "Very well," Reed said quietly. "Earth thanks the Council for its wisdom. We will continue our research with your advice in mind." As he left the chamber, the laughter followed him. Some delegates were practically falling out of their pods with amusement. A few even recorded the session, planning to share it across the galaxy as entertainment. Reed's assistant, a young man named Mark, waited outside. "That bad, huh?" "Exactly as bad as we expected," Reed replied, allowing himself a small smile. "Did you transmit the session?" Mark nodded, checking his tablet. "Dr. Miller's team is already watching it. Commander Walker too." "Good." Reed straightened his tie and looked out through the massive windows at the glittering expanse of the galactic capital. Millions of ships moved through its skylines, most using technology that humanity had only dreamed of a few decades ago. Let them laugh. They won't be laughing much longer. "Sir," Mark hesitated, "when do you think they'll realize their mistake?" Reed's smile grew slightly wider. when it's too late for them to do anything about it. Come on, we have a ship to catch. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when they underestimate humanity. Hidden within Jupiter's swirling storms, Project Infinity's research station floated like a secret jewel. The station's outer rings spun slowly, generating artificial gravity, while its central hub remained eerily still. Through one of the reinforced windows, Dr. Anna Miller watched the gas giant's endless clouds swirl beneath them. "Doctor, you need to see this," called out Dr. Turner from his workstation. His usual calm voice carried an edge of excitement that made Anna turn immediately. The main laboratory was a maze of quantum computers and experimental equipment. Hundreds of holograms filled the air, showing complex calculations that would have seemed like magic to scientists just a few decades ago. In the center of it all stood their pride and joy, the IES Paradox. The ship wasn't particularly large or impressive-looking. Its sleek black hull absorbed light in strange ways, making it hard to focus on any one part. But size didn't matter when you could bend reality itself. "Look at these readings from the core," Turner said, pointing to a holographic display. "The dark matter containment field is holding steady at 7 dimensions. We've done it, Anna. We've actually done it." Anna studied the numbers carefully. After 15 years of work, countless failures, and more than a few explosions, they had finally achieved stable 7th-dimensional containment. "Run the test again," she ordered, trying to keep her voice steady. Full diagnostics. The core of the paradox hummed softly as it spun up. Unlike the crude 5-dimensional drives used by most galactic ships, their design didn't try to punch through dimensions. Instead, it worked with them, creating a delicate dance of quantum possibilities. "Core stability at 100%, reported Lisa from her station. "Dark matter flow is perfect. Dimensional barriers are holding." She looked up with a grin. "It's not going to explode this time." "Don't jinx it," Turner muttered, but he was smiling too. The lab's main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. It was Reed, and he looked tired but satisfied. "I trust you've all seen the council recording." "Hard to miss the part where they laughed at our life's work," Anna replied dryly. "How are you holding up?" "Oh, I rather enjoyed it," Reed said with a small smile. "But we have a problem. The Dominion is on the move. Intelligence suggests they're planning something big, and soon. How close are we to launch?" Anna looked at the paradox, then at her team. "The core is stable. We've achieved 7th-dimensional containment, but we haven't tested the full drive system yet. We need at least 3 more months off." "We may not have 3 months," Reed interrupted. "Commander Walker is bringing his crew in next week. They need to start training with the actual ship, not just simulations." A tense silence fell over the lab. Everyone knew what rushing development could mean. The first few prototypes had torn themselves apart, creating dimensional anomalies that took weeks to clean up. If the same thing happened with a crew aboard. "I know what you're thinking," Reed continued softly, "but we're out of time. The galaxy thinks we're a joke, which means no one is watching us closely right now. That's our advantage, but it won't last forever." Anna walked up to the paradox and placed her hand on its cool hull. The metal seemed to shift slightly under her touch, as if the ship existed in multiple states at once. Which, technically, it did. "Tell Walker his crew better be ready to learn fast," she finally said. "We'll have the ship ready, but I want it noted that we're rushing crucial safety protocols." "Noted," Reed replied. "And Anna, the council's laughter should be reaching Earth about now. The public is not happy." "Good," Turner called out from his station. "Angry humans work faster." As the transmission ended, Anna looked at her team. "All right, people, new schedule. We're going to teach Commander Walker's crew how to fly a ship that can exist in 7 dimensions at once. A ship that can rewrite the laws of physics as we know them." She smiled grimly. "Let's make sure they live to tell about it." The lab burst into activity. In a few days, the most advanced ship humanity had ever built would meet its crew. The galaxy's laughter was about to turn into something very different. The emergency alarms woke Commander James Walker at 300 hours. He was out of bed and in his uniform before the AI finished announcing the alert. "Report," he barked, rushing toward the station's command center. "Mars colony is gone, sir," his first officer, Robert, reported, face pale under the red emergency lights. The Dominion fleet just appeared inside their defense grid. No warning, no demands. They hit the main dome first. Walker stared at the tactical display. Mars glowed red with damage markers, while long-range sensors showed more Dominion ships emerging from five-dimensional space around Venus. Their sleek, predatory vessels moved like sharks through water, ignoring conventional physics. "Casualties?" Walker asked, dreading the answer. 15,000 confirmed dead. Another 10,000 missing. Robert's hands clenched into fists. "The Galactic Council is deeply concerned, but says this is an internal matter." Of course they were. The same council that had laughed at humanity's achievements 2 weeks ago was now watching them being slaughtered. Walker opened a secure channel to Project Infinity. Dr. Miller's face appeared, looking like she hadn't slept in days. "Commander, I know what you're going to ask. The answer is no. The paradox isn't ready." "Anna," Walker said quietly, using her first name, "they just killed 15,000 people. Venus is next. Then Earth. We're out of time." Behind her, the prototype ship hung in its docking cradle. His crew had been training on it for only 10 days, learning to handle systems that rewrote reality itself. The neural interfaces were giving everyone headaches, and they still hadn't managed a successful seventh-dimensional jump. "The containment field isn't fully stable," she argued. "The dimensional matrices could collapse during a jump. Best case, you all die instantly. Worst case, you tear a hole in space-time." Another alarm blared. Venus colony was reporting first contact with Dominion forces. Their five-dimensional ships were simply bypassing all traditional defenses, appearing inside secured areas at will. "Doctor," Walker said firmly, "in 6 hours, those ships will reach Earth. They're not here to talk. You know the Dominion's reputation. They don't take slaves. They don't accept surrender. Either we launch now, or humanity joins the list of extinct species." Anna closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, determination had replaced fear. "Get your crew here. We'll finish the neural calibrations during pre-launch. Just try not to break my ship, okay?" The next 4 hours were a blur of activity. Walker's crew of 20 arrived at Jupiter Station in record time, their shuttle pushing the limits of conventional drives. As they rushed through final preparations, reports kept coming in from Venus. The death toll was rising. "Neural interfaces online," reported Lisa from her station in the Paradox Bridge. "Dimensional matrices are mostly stable." Walker sat in the command chair, feeling the ship's systems connecting directly to his mind through the neural interface. It was like having an extra set of senses that could perceive reality in 7 dimensions at once. The sensation was dizzying. "Commander," Anna's voice came through the comm, "remember what we discussed. Don't try to control 7-dimensional space. Work with it. Feel the quantum possibilities and guide them. Like dancing," Walker finished. "I remember." He took a deep breath. "All stations, report." One by one, his crew confirmed their readiness. None of them were truly ready. How could you be ready to pilot a ship that existed in 7 dimensions? But they were out of options. "Dr. Miller," Walker said formally, "Project Infinity requests launch clearance." There was a brief pause. In the background, they could hear more emergency alerts about Venus colony. "Clearance granted," Anna replied. "Go give the galaxy something new to laugh about." The docking clamps released, and the IES Paradox moved free of the station. Its dark matter core hummed with power that could reshape reality itself. Ahead of them, dimensional sensors showed the Dominion fleet approaching Earth, still unaware that humanity had an impossible card left to play. All hands, Walker announced. Prepare for seventh-dimensional jump. Let's show them what happens when you corner humanity. Seventh-dimensional drive engaging in 3, 2, 1. As Robert finished the countdown, reality shattered around the IES paradox. The familiar stars stretched and twisted, then multiplied into infinite patterns that human eyes were never meant to see. Every crew member felt their consciousness expand as the neural interfaces translated seven-dimensional space into something their minds could process. "This is impossible," Lisa whispered from her station. Through the ship's sensors, she could see everything at once. Past, present, and future merged into a single moment. The paradox wasn't just moving through space, it was dancing through layers of reality itself. Walker gripped his chair as his mind struggled to adapt. Dr. Miller's training helped, but nothing could have truly prepared them for this. "Status report," he managed to say, though his voice seemed to echo strangely through multiple dimensions. "The ship exists in everywhere." "Sir," Robert replied, his eyes wide as he read the sensor data. "We're not just in one place anymore. We're in all possible places at once. The seventh dimension isn't just about movement, it's about possibility itself." Through the view screen, they could see Earth from 1,000 different angles simultaneously. More importantly, they could see the Dominion fleet approaching from what they thought was a safe 5-dimensional route. From here, their supposedly advanced ships looked primitive and slow. "Sir," called out Tim from Weapons Control, "you need to see this. The ship's defensive systems, they're not just shields. When we're in seventh-dimensional space, we can manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe itself." Walker focused his thoughts through the neural interface, and the ship's capabilities unfolded in his mind like a blooming flower. The paradox could do more than just travel through higher dimensions. It could reach out and touch the basic rules of physics themselves. "That's why the core design was so important," Lisa said, understanding dawning on her face. "Dr. Miller didn't build a weapon. She built something that could rewrite reality." A warning alarm cut through their amazement. The Dominion fleet had detected them. Though their primitive sensors could only pick up fragments of the paradox's true nature. Their ships were adjusting course, preparing to engage. "They're trying to track us," Robert reported, "but they can only see our 3-dimensional shadow. To them, we must look like we're malfunctioning, appearing and disappearing at random." Walker watched as the enemy ships attempted to lock weapons on them. It was almost funny, like watching cavemen trying to shoot down a stealth bomber with arrows. The paradox existed in so many layers of reality at once that their targeting systems couldn't make sense of it. "Sir," Tim said suddenly, "I think I understand why Dr. Miller was so careful with the safety protocols. At this level of dimensional access, we could accidentally erase those ships from existence. Not just destroy them, make it so they never existed in the first place." The implications hit everyone on the bridge at once. They weren't just flying humanity's most advanced ship. They were handling power that could reshape history itself. One wrong move could change the past, present, and future simultaneously. "Now we know why the Council was so afraid of seventh-dimensional research," Walker said quietly. "This isn't just about faster travel or better weapons. This is about having access to the source code of reality itself." Through the neural interface, he could feel his crew's mix of awe and fear. They had thought they were testing a new type of starship. Instead, they were piloting something that broke every rule in the universe's handbook. "Sir," Robert asked, his voice steady despite the strain of processing 7-dimensional space, "what are your orders?" Walker looked at the Dominion fleet, still trying to make sense of what they were seeing. In a few minutes, they would reach Earth's orbit. Millions of lives hung in the balance. And here was humanity's newest ship, carrying the power to rewrite reality itself. "Send a message to Earth Command," Walker ordered. "Tell them the paradox is operational." And then, he allowed himself a small smile. "Let's show the galaxy what humanity's impossible achievement can really do." The Dominion fleet surrounded Earth like a swarm of metal locusts. 300 warships, each capable of tearing through five-dimensional space, prepared to end humanity's brief time among the stars. Their weapons powered up, ready to reduce Earth's cities to ash. Multiple targeting locks, Robert announced on the Paradox's bridge. They're preparing to fire on all major population centers simultaneously. Walker nodded calmly. Through the ship's seven-dimensional sensors, he could see the enemy fleet from every possible angle at once. More importantly, he could see what they couldn't: the quantum threads of possibility that connected all things. "Time to show them what they're really dealing with," he said. "Lisa, initiate quantum superposition." Full spread. The paradox shimmered, and suddenly it wasn't just one ship anymore. Using the seventh dimension's properties, it split into multiple versions of itself, each one fully real, each one capable of independent action. To the Dominion sensors, it must have looked like humans had somehow hidden an entire fleet. "Sir," Tim reported from weapons, "I figured out how to use the dimensional fields offensively. We can't just shoot them. We can make it so their shields never existed in the first place." The enemy fleet finally noticed them. Their formation broke as ships tried to track the multiple paradoxes appearing and disappearing across space. Their five-dimensional sensors couldn't make sense of what they were seeing. "Comms are picking up their transmissions," Robert said with a grim smile. "They're panicking. Some of their captains think we've developed some kind of cloaking technology. Others think their sensors are malfunctioning." A Dominion battleship, twice the size of the others, moved to engage them. It fired its main weapons, beams of energy that could pierce five-dimensional space. But the Paradox's version simply shifted through higher dimensions, making the attacks pass through empty space. "Target their flagship," Walker ordered. "Minimal force. We're here to stop them, not massacre them." Tim adjusted the dimensional fields. Instead of erasing the enemy ship from existence, he simply reached through seven-dimensional space and touched its engine core. The massive battleship's power systems instantly shut down, its crew finding themselves in a vessel that, from their perspective, had never been properly built. The rest of the Dominion fleet opened fire. Space lit up with energy weapons and five-dimensional torpedoes, but fighting the Paradox was like trying to punch a shadow. Every time they thought they had it targeted, they were shooting at just one of its infinite possible positions. "Sir," Lisa called out, "I'm detecting reinforcements coming in from their home system. They're calling in everything they have." Walker watched through the seven-dimensional sensors as more enemy ships began appearing. The Dominion was committing their entire fleet to this battle. They couldn't understand what they were fighting, but they knew it was a threat to their superiority. "Let them come," Walker said. "Robert, execute Pattern Delta. Let's show them what dancing with reality looks like." The Paradox's versions moved in perfect coordination, each one shifting through different dimensional planes. To the Dominion ships, it must have seemed like they were fighting a ghost that could be everywhere and nowhere at once. One by one, their ships lost power as the Paradox's dimensional fields rewrote their operational history. No destruction, no loss of life, just hundreds of warships finding themselves suddenly unable to function. "Message from Earth Command," Robert reported. "They're watching the whole thing. The Galactic Council's observers, too." He grinned. "Nobody's laughing anymore." Walker allowed himself a moment of satisfaction as he watched the mighty Dominion fleet drift helplessly in space. Humanity's impossible achievement had just neutralized the galaxy's most feared military force without firing a single conventional shot. "Send a message to the Dominion ships," he ordered. "Tell them we'll be happy to restore their engines once they agree to withdraw. And add something else." He smiled. "Tell them this was us being gentle." The Galactic Council chamber was silent. No laughter, no whispers, not even the usual shuffling of tentacles or clicking of mandibles. On the massive display screens floating in the air, footage of the battle played on repeat. The entire galaxy watched as a single human ship defeated 300 of the most advanced Dominion warships without destroying a single one. Thomas Reed stood at the center platform again, just as he had 2 weeks ago. But this time, No one was laughing. As you can see, he said calmly, humanity's claims about seventh-dimensional technology were not exaggerated. The IES paradox demonstrated only a fraction of its capabilities during the battle. The council leader's geometric form shifted nervously. This cannot be possible. Our best scientists have studied seventh-dimensional physics for millennia. The energy requirements alone would be impossible using conventional methods, Dr. Miller interrupted, stepping onto the platform beside Reed. That's because you've been trying to force your way into higher dimensions. We learned to work with them instead. The crystalline being from Centauri, who had laughed the loudest at their previous presentation, now glowed with colors of distress. The Dominion fleet, their ships still won't start. It's as if their engines were never properly constructed, yet we can see them physically intact. Because we didn't destroy them, Miller explained. We simply adjusted their timeline so that certain key components were never successfully assembled. We can restore them at any time. Panic rippled through the council chamber as the implications sank in. A species they had dismissed as primitive now wielded power that could rewrite reality itself. Some delegates were already sending frantic messages to their homeworlds, likely ordering immediate research into human scientific papers. The Dominion has submitted their formal surrender, Reed announced. They've agreed to withdraw from all conquered territories and pay reparations for the lives lost on Mars and Venus. And what are humanity's demands of the Council? The leader asked carefully. Everyone could hear the fear in the thought-projected words. Reed smiled. Demands. We're not here to make demands. We're here to offer an invitation. Dr. Miller stepped forward, holding up a data crystal similar to the one they had tried to share 2 weeks ago. The seventh dimension is just the beginning. Our research indicates at least 11 dimensions that could be accessed, but the power involved is too great for any one species to handle responsibly. A murmur of surprise ran through the chamber. They had expected threats, demands for technology trade, maybe even territorial concessions. Not this. Humanity proposes the creation of the Dimensional Sciences Initiative, Reed continued. A collaborative project, open to all species, to explore higher dimensions safely and ethically. We'll share our seventh-dimensional insights if other races share their 5- and 6-dimensional expertise. You would share such power? The leader asked incredulously, after how we treated you. That's what you don't understand about humans, Miller said softly. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to explore it, to understand it, to make it better for everyone. Reed nodded. The universe is too vast and wonderful for any one species to explore alone. Yes, you laughed at us. Yes, some of you tried to destroy us. But holding grudges won't advance science or benefit anyone. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Species that had been enemies for millennia found themselves considering cooperation. The possibility of exploring higher dimensions, properly, safely, with human guidance, was too tempting to ignore. There is one condition, Reed added, silencing the chamber again. From now on, no more dismissing new ideas just because they come from younger civilizations. The galaxy has too many secrets for anyone to claim they know what's impossible. As the council voted unanimously to accept humanity's proposal, Reed glanced at Dr. Miller. Think they finally stopped laughing. Miller watched as ancient alien civilizations lined up to join humanity's research initiative. Oh yes, she said with a small smile. Now they're ready to learn. 1 year after the Dominion's surrender, the Dimensional Sciences Initiative headquarters floated in orbit around a neutral star system. The massive station was a testament to what different species could achieve together. Its spiral arms contained laboratories from 100 worlds, all working towards understanding the higher dimensions of reality. Commander Walker stood at the observation deck, watching ships from across the galaxy arrive for the first anniversary celebration. The IES Paradox was docked nearby, no longer alone in its capabilities. 2 more seventh-dimensional vessels had been built through international cooperation, with more under construction. Quite a view, isn't it? Dr. Miller asked, joining him at the window. Hard to believe a year ago, they were all laughing at us. Walker nodded, pointing to a crystalline ship approaching the station. The Centauri delegation. Their work on quantum crystallography helped us stabilize the dimensional matrices. Now we can train crews without those horrible headaches. And the Dominion's engineers, Miller added, gesturing to another incoming vessel. Once they got over their pride, their five-dimensional expertise proved invaluable. The new safety protocols are largely based on their work. The station's central chamber had been transformed for the celebration. Representatives from every major species gathered to mark 1 year of unprecedented cooperation. Even the geometric patterns of the council leader seemed more relaxed these days. Thomas Reed took the central platform, just as he had done that fateful day in the council chamber. But this time, he stood alongside aliens who had become trusted colleagues and friends. 1 year ago, he began, humanity revealed technology that could have been used to dominate the galaxy. Instead, we chose to share it. Today, we celebrate not just scientific achievement, but the birth of true galactic cooperation. Holograms appeared above the platform, showing the progress they'd made. The merged knowledge of multiple civilizations had advanced dimensional science beyond what any single species could have achieved alone. What had seemed impossible a year ago was now routine. The eighth dimension has been theoretically mapped, announced a Dominion scientist, her former military bearing replaced by academic excitement. Thanks to human intuition combined with our dimensional mathematics, we believe we can begin practical experiments within months. More importantly, added a crystalline Centauri researcher, glowing with pride. Accident rates in dimensional research have dropped to near zero. By working together, we've made these advanced technologies safe for all. Walker smiled as he watched the presentations. The paradox had been just the beginning. Now ships could navigate seven-dimensional space safely, opening up new possibilities for exploration, research, and peaceful cooperation. Commander, Miller said quietly, "They're ready for the demonstration." Walker nodded and headed to the paradox. Today, they would show the gathered delegates something new, a controlled glimpse into the eighth dimension. Not for weapons or power, but for understanding. The ship hummed to life around him, its systems now refined by a year of collaborative research. His crew, a mix of humans and aliens who had trained together, took their stations. All ships maintain safe distance, he announced. Eighth dimensional sensors online. Beginning controlled observation sequence. As the paradox carefully opened a window into yet another layer of reality, Walker thought about how far they'd come. A year ago, they had been dismissed as primitive upstarts. Now, they were leading the galaxy into a new age of discovery. In the observation deck, Reed watched with satisfaction as the assembled species gathered in amazement around the sensor displays. No one was laughing anymore. Instead, they were working together, learning together, growing together. "You know what the best part is," Miller said, standing beside him. "This is just the beginning. There are more dimensions to explore, more mysteries to solve, and now we have the whole galaxy working as one to discover them." Reed smiled. From being laughed at to leading the greatest scientific initiative in galactic history. Not bad for a species that barely understands five-dimensional space. As the paradox's sensors revealed new wonders about the nature of reality itself, the gathered species shared a moment of collective awe. The new era wasn't just about technological advancement. It was about breaking down barriers between civilizations, proving that the greatest achievements come not from competition, but from cooperation. The laughter had stopped, replaced by something far better. Understanding, respect, and hope for a future where all species could reach for the impossible together.